Hello everyone, my name is Eostrix. Today I'm introducing my commander deck, the God of Maxine. God of Maxine, but whom could helm this great deck? Well, if you don't think it's a Simic commander, you're lying to yourself, as it's Kruphix, God of Horizons. Kruphix, God of Horizons is a 4/7 legendary enchantment creature god for 3 green-blue that has a lot of text. Beginning with the simplest, it has Indestructible, so it doesn't go anywhere easily. Secondly, as long as your devotion to green and blue is less than 7, Kruphix isn't a creature. Meaning if you don't have 7 symbols of any combination of those colors among permanents you control, he is not attacking or blocking. You have no maximum hand size, which is self-explanatory. Then my favorite line on this card, if unused mana would be emptied from your mana pool, that mana instead becomes colorless. Which seems a little bit weird, but let me explain if you don't know. When going from any step to another step, or phase, any mana that you had floating is emptied, leaving you with nothing. With Kruphix on the field though, instead of disappearing, it becomes colorless. Which seems a little bit funny, but this applies at all times, so anytime your colorless mana would leave, it instead just becomes colorless again, making it into a colorless mana vault. So how are we going to try and use these abilities for our advantage? Good question, as I wanted to make this deck about maxing out every beneficial part of the game, our hand, board, life total, and mana to be specific. Let's begin with our lands. Alchemist Refuge, Boseiju Who Endures, Breeding Pool, Command Tower, Command Beacon, Dreamroot Cascade, Ottawa Soaring City, Reliquary Tower, Simic Guildgate, Vesuva, Vine Glimmer Snarl, 12 Forest, and 12 Islands. So far, so good. Now, the creatures. Alawando the Seer, I opened this thing in a pack and I wanted it to have a home considering its foil edgedness. Arcanus the Omnipotent, tap it to draw 3 cards and it can be returned to your hand with a little bit of mana if it's targeted. Chakram Retriever, with the number of spells we are looking to cast, he is going to be the best display on untap our mana producers. Endbringer doesn't need someone else to untap it each turn and is flexible in its abilities. Evolution Sage, given that we're in Simic, proliferation is always somewhere. I had the Mage from the original deck I made with this, it draws cards. Forgotten Ancient, this card is weird but fun as my friends never actually moved the counters off of it. Gyre Sage makes mana equal to its power, and I'm surprised I haven't seen this card in person yet. Hullbreaker Horror, it's actually rather powerful and has recently dropped price, so I recommend picking it up. Hydra Broommaster, probably the biggest creature that is going to appear on this list, becomes monstrous and makes a monstrous amount of tokens. Jin Cataxius, Progress Tyrant. It is a little bit mean, but it's not the meanest version of him. It copies our strong sorceries, instants, and artifacts. Jushi Apprentice, another reason I love Kamigawa is these random cards that are stupidly powerful and also 35 cents. Kyora's Follower, its sole purpose is untapping. Kodama of the East Tree, one of my favorite card designs because of its combo potential. Tokens allow for more land drops. Kaidel, chosen of Kruphix. Other than actually having Kruphix in their name, they make a hell of a lot of mana based on the stupid amount of cards that we are going to draw that turn. Ledger Shredder, opened this, thought nothing of it, then after a month it's $27, so I put it in here because why not. Lotus Cobra, after watching Brewer's Kitchen, I'm convinced to put one in at least one deck of mine. Mercfiend Liege, when we finally tap out, everyone's going to be very relieved, till they realize we're also going to have it on their turn too. Rampaging Balos, self-healing with Kodama as it makes tokens on land drops. Replication Specialist makes copies of our strong artifacts for only 2 mana. Sereth the Viper's Fang, here to protect all of our untapped creatures and also untap stuff itself. Scurry Oak, with all these +1/+1s I'm looking to place, getting tokens off of them is never a downside. Seedborn Muse, Mercfiend Liege, but it makes it even stupider. And Tatiova Benthic Druid, landfall that draws this card and lets us gain life. You see the themes? If you haven't, it's basically all Simic strengths. +1/+1 counters, big mana, card draw, ramp, and untapping permanents. Now for my favorite permanent type, Enchantments. Abundance, this just makes every card draw even stupider than before. Burgeoning, I don't even know how this card is allowed, but I've wanted to use it since I saw that it existed. Curator's Ward, who needs 10 counterspells when you can just give the target hexproof. Death's Presence, I got this card for an old deck and now it has a new home, that's not in my bulk. Freed from the Reel, untap or tap for 1 mana, score. Helix Pinnacle, speaking of hexproof, here's one of our win cons that I also wanted to win with since I saw it. Hydra's Growth, I honestly just thought this would be fun with Gyre Sage. Leyline of Anticipation, and you thought everything in this deck was going to be slow? Nah bro, full speed ahead. Omniscience, at this point I'm just finding any excuse to throw this in something. Quest for Renewal, more untapped shenanigans that untap our creatures on others' turns. These don't stack, but it's never bad to be maxed. Retreat to Koralham, this was already in my original version of this deck for a Maloku and Uyo combo, but now it's in this deck too, so some remnants still remain. Unstable Harmonics or Ristic Studies, I've always wanted to annoy an entire table of people at once. Wilderness Reclamation, lane untapping is pretty dope. Wizard class can never not have no max hand size because our max is maxed and maxed are maxed. And Zendikar Resurgence doubles our mana and draws us cards, hard not to throw this in a deck. The artifacts, you may have been tired of mana before, but surprise, there's always more. Astral Cornucopia, Ever-Flowing Chalice, and Empowered Auto Generator. Mana equal to counters and ways to manipulate them is perfect for this deck. Elixir of Immortality, a quick play and repeat method of shuffling our graveyard into our library to hopefully still have one. Midnight Clock, a way to reshuffle our hand into our library, and also mana. Nyx Lotus, we're going to have a decent amount of Devotion on board, so this will be tapping for a lot. Soul Ring, duh. Strionic Resonator, copy triggered abilities for 2 is a steal. Unwinding Clock because we truly needed more stuff to untap. Fencer's Journal, a way to max our hand again and increase our life total. This deck does not interact much on others' turns without flash, so we're going to stick to our turn via our sorceries. Body of Research, we obviously don't want to play this before we play or draw all of our entire library, but you do you. Boundless Realms, ramp based on the lands that we got, so that's pretty cool. Curse of the Swine, really weird removal that I found thanks to Call Time Commander decks. Echo Storm, a little bit weird, but it copies an artifact of ours based on the amount of times we cast our commander, so it may get replaced. Enter the Infinite draws your entire library but 1 card. You better win if you don't have Midnight Clock at 12. Kodama's Reach is his basic ramp. Mass Manipulation, it's a little mean with stupid amounts of mana we hope to have, but at least it's a game ender. Replication Technique, I know there are strictly better versions of this, but I think this will be really fun to play. A little bit of copying never hurt anyone. Tezzeret's Gambit, I just wanted a little bit more proliferation for when we get a bit slower. Traverse the Outlands, used to be an expensive ramp and now really cheap. Score. And Wildest Dreams, one of the only ways to return cards from our graveyard to our hand so we can do stuff again. And for the only fast things in our deck, our instants. Capsize, with the stupid amounts of mana we hope to be producing as it's half of our deck, you're going to want to put it somewhere, so having this as a weird countersink is more than perfect. Just a continual recast until we clear the board. A slow cyclonic rift. Clock Spinning, similarly, this one ticks up and down counters, so if there are anyone playing counters, we can just remove them all slowly. Ride the Avalanche, this is a weirdly allowed card even though flash isn't allowed, but this one is. Diviner's Portent, because we truly don't actually need to use the X in the spell, but we can. Overall, this deck is probably a 7 out of 10, but could be higher, but I haven't actually played it as I don't have the money to order it yet. So this is my revision from a previous version, which I've never actually made a deck tech on because I thought that one was meh. So, there it is. There's more than likely an infinite combo in here too somewhere, so that should be fun as well. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. We are up now to 17 subscribers, so we'll see if we ever hit 25. Thank you for watching again. Goodbye.